this dude here is missing, boy. He really is. Legends of Wrestling 2. Sid Vicious interview. It's no big Sid now.
I was working
Master of the powerbomb
in Memphis, right across the river from where I live. I had run across some guys like Hillbilly Jim, Randy Savage, Lanny Poffo. At our time there in Memphis, the real popular guys were the fabulous ones, guys like that. And we were working in there, from day to day. They saw me a lot, and the guy came over to me and approached me. The guy was Randy Savage. He said, "Man, have you ever thought about getting into the wrestling business?" And I thought, no, I have not really ever thought about it. I knew it was real hard. It was, back then it was a lot harder, a lot less talked about too, and it was harder to get people to talk to you about it. So I just never really considered it. And I said, no. He goes, well, I got someone I can introduce you to get you started. So he introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Tojo Yamamoto, which is a really big Japanese star there in the old U.S. The championship wrestling organization there in Memphis at the time. And he had a school in Nashville. So what I did is I got up at 3 o'clock in the mornings on Sunday. I drove to Nashville, got tortured about 7 hours from this little fat Japanese guy. He beat me with a stick all day long. Did that for about a year.
Beat the hell out
of him. Got into my first territory, which was down in Continental with the promoters down there, the Fullers. And started off there and really had a lot of fun.
Colonel
to
Park?
me, it was like traveling around from town to town in a circus-like atmosphere with your brothers, your family. There was sometimes a lot of animosity towards each other, but when it really came down to it, all we had was each other. It was a really family bond. Of course, you go through the normal struggles like being away from home, being homesick, having to find a new place to live, and trying to save money to pay your bills there, and then send back to pay bills at home. Having a little boy who was only 5 years old, you're missing everything with your family life. But you know what? I don't remember or regret any of that because it was so much fun starting in the business. My gimmick was it started as one character, Sid Vicious. In that character, there was a character in there like John Wayne, the stand-up-in-your-face type of guy that never backed down, in-your-face fighting all the time. And then as time went on, I started experimenting with my interviews and things like that. Then I put, some like a Hannibal Lecter into the deal when I do the laughing or sort of go off to it in those interviews when I started going off a little bit, like I wasn't there anymore, thinking of different things. My style was to create fear in the people.
Let me get that back.
And then as time went on, I started experimenting with my interviews and things like that. Then I put, some like a Hannibal Lecter into the deal when I do the laughing or sort of go off to it in those interviews when I started going off a little bit, like I wasn't there anymore, thinking of different things. My style was, to create fear in the people. Like when I would, what I do is like something devastating, a move like take the guy by his throat, hold him for a few seconds, let the people see the intensity while I'm holding him, and his eyes are meeting my eyes, and then lift him up and then drop him down real hard, all right? And then, then I would stand back behind him and let him start moving on his own, and then I'd look at the people, look back and go, okay, now it's time to get him again. And as I do that, weight deal, then that's when the people are like, oh, God, no, get away, but then get up. The belt that I can remember meaning the most to me was when I won the World Wrestling Federation Championship for the first time, and it was at, of all places, Madison Square Garden. And our business is, that's one of the dreams, first of all, is just get to the Gardens. If you get there, you've achieved almost everything you can achieve in the business, and then to win the title there, that says it all. Major injuries, we could be here for about 2 hours talking about this, but I'll just run across a few that was pretty serious. One of the serious ones I think for sure you put on that list is when I broke my neck and they had to take a bone chip out of my hip and replace one of my vertebrae. That was a pretty hard deal. Took a long time to get through. But I'm going to have to say that the hardest, the worst injury I've had up to date is when I broke my leg.
I remember that when that was horrible.
Fracture of the tibia fibula above my
he broke that leg, let me tell you something. I think that was close to the end of Nitro. He came off the rope, which, oh boy, he had no business up there. He even said it himself. It was like he fell on his leg twice. That's how bad it was. Ooh, then the leg was just hanging there. Oh boy, that was bad. And they said, when you cut, because they had to cut his boot off. When they cut the boot off, it was a lot worse. Oh boy, you already know it's on YouTube. You go look at it if you want to. Seen that enough. That was rugged. That was brutal.
Limbs away, where the lower limb too, when your legs, where I had to support all my weight on my right leg, being on a walker for the first time. You know, really you get a taste of what it's like. You see people in wheelchairs and things like that. Once or twice a week, I try to get to the track to now start doing some physical walking up and down bleachers to get my left leg prepared to get caught with my right leg where I can do the things it takes to wrestle. So that's what I'm doing right now. My opponent tonight would be easily pointed out in the back. He would be the man sitting there with a stared look in his face of knowing it'd be his last walkout. For he knows that this night he meets the man who is invincible and goes by the name Sid Vicious. For you, my friend, time has run out, though as if the last grain of sand has fell through the hourglass.
He was more intense than that in the 90s, though.
For you to meet your maker. Somehow or another, to be real successful in this business, you really have to have a desire. I'm never going to be what's considered the greatest technician, but what I've always said is I want to be one of the greatest workers, and that means being able to have the fans out there and making them enjoy what they're seeing and not go home disappointed. That was one of my desires I set out right in the beginning. And certainly people like the Hart family did the same thing. I worked with all of them, Owen and Brad. They both had great desires for this business, And when you have a great desire, more times than not, you'll be successful. If you have a desire for this business, you'll go to bed early, you'll get up early, and you'll do the things it takes to be great. I've had a few friends that wanted to get in the business and still struggling. It's like anything else that you want to try to do in life. And a lot of people might say I'm wrong about this, but to me, it's a lot harder to achieve a physical, say, aspiration than it is a mental aspiration. Wrestling would have to come first, and every aspect that makes you a good wrestler would have to be there, and that's given everything you got. You have to diet, you have to work out. What I did, for instance, when I first said, okay, I'm going to be a professional wrestler, and I just in the beginning stages saw how hard it was going to be. So I said, okay, well, I'm not going to go out and party, or I'm not going to go out and hang out in the social life. I'm going to be the first one in bed, and I said this before on an earlier question. I'm going to be the first one up, and I'm going to be back from the gym from working out while everybody's still getting up. I'm going to have that kind of jump on everybody all the time. If you push yourself harder than everybody else, and this is where I feel like I've been successful, is that I pushed myself so hard and worked so hard, I've forced people to have to do business with me, in a sense. One, it's a good thing to want to do business with someone like me, because you know I'm going to be on time. You know I'm doing all the things it takes to be successful in this business, to keep on top of something, because this business grows every day. It changes. You would have to just have only wrestling on your mind, and that be it from the day you start to the day you end. I'd like to be remembered when you say the name Sid Vicious, that you automatically think of one of the greatest of all time. And also to be remembered as one that was enjoyable to watch, knowing that I gave everything I had to give to this business, and I literally mean that. I have given up everything I've had in this business. I've given up two lives of two of my children, not seen a birthday, a football game, a baseball game, never been to a birth of my children. I gave up everything for this business. I've broken almost every bone. I've had major surgeries. I gave every everything I had to this business while I was in the business. If people remember me for that, I would be happy.
Sid Vicious, boy. Yeah, that is something. Yeah, he made the perfect statement at the end. He said, everything in this business. He's like, I remember that leg. You talk about that leg break years ago, and that took like several years to fully heal. He had to get some type of metal put in his leg to get it back right, and whew, that was horrible. But remembering Sid, yeah, he was something serious. Get out, especially the young Sid in the early '90s, make you shit on yourself. See, because he would talk real quiet, and then he'd get on your ass, yell at you. He was something else. And he'd get in there and he was hurting folks bad. Like riding the guy running the stretcher and smashing the stretcher into the steel post, into the pole, whatever the hell that was. Yeah, Sid was something serious.